Hey everyone, welcome to your next PHP tutorial. And I'm going to get started, but first I just want to talk with you guys for a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to tell you a story. So I woke up the other day, the 24th, yes, and it was like super late. I woke up like 11:30 p.m. So I was like, dude, mom, dude, Christmas is in like 30 minutes. I gotta make a video, right? I gotta make a Christmas video. So I'm like, what's up, Mom? I'm making some vids. But then anyways, after I got my gangster out, then I was like, Mom, I'm gonna go make some videos, and I'm gonna do it all night, and I'm gonna party. So I thought, I was planning my brain, and I was thinking, last year I set up this booby trap, right, to catch Santa, and this manipulative loser lured my parents into this booby trap, and I caught my parents, and I had to wake up in the middle of the night to go release my parents from my own booby trap to catch Santa. And that's just not right. So I've had this grudge against Santa this whole time. Let me tell you, this year, he's gonna get paid back. He likes cookies, right? Yeah, cookies. Yeah. How's it feel? He's not gonna know what hit him. Oh man. Good times. Alright, now let's start the actual video. So this video, I want to talk about form handling and the basics of that. So I don't really remember if I explained form handling, but basically with PHP, one of the most common things you do is handle forms. What is a form? Well, a form is when you go to a website and they have like text box such as your username and password. That's a form. You put your information in there and you click submit or enter or whatever. Well, that form, all of those values are sent to a PHP script which then takes those values, does something with them, and returns a new page to your web browser. So for example, if you're logging in, you give your username and your password. That form, all those values, get sent to the PHP script. The PHP script checks if those values are the same as what's stored in a database to make sure you're an actual account. Because if you put some random stuff in, it's not going to match any database content. And it'll say, oh, incorrect password. But if it matches, well, then it just handled that form. It did something with those values. It tested if they were in a database. And then it will grant access to the website and go to the user-specific content. That's the basics of handling forms. Well, when you're creating HTML forms, there's two things you really have to pay attention to. There is action, and then there's method. And you would have saw this in the previous two videos or so, where I explained what exactly these are. Alright, so you create, for our examples, the first examples we're going to go through, we're going to have two pages. We're going to have an HTML page, and then we're going to have a PHP page. Now, as you get more advanced, you can put all of this content onto one page, but as we get started, I am introducing all of these concepts. I can't just dive into this super advanced stuff, or you're not going to be able to follow. So keep in mind, what we're learning is not necessarily how it's going to be taught in future videos, because I'm kind of adding more as we go. So basically now we're going to have two pages. In the future, we'll probably have one page for some examples. And we'll also validate data better. But for now, we're just learning the basics, how things work, and then we can add security and extra features like that. So action, this is where the HTML form gets sent. So, just to illustrate this better, here we have two PHP validators or whatever. Here we have an HTML form within this web page. So over here is our HTML And here we have two PHP scripts. Alright, well this form data that we put within this form, where is it supposed to go? Is it supposed to be validated by this script or this script? So let's say we created this script in 2011 and it has weak security features. And as we got better at programming, we made a new PHP page which did basically the same thing, but tested the results to make sure they were valid inputs. Well, we would want this HTML page to use the updated version. So that is what action does. Action is, what PHP script are we sending this form data to? Are we sending it to this one? Are we sending it to this one? Or are we sending it to another one? That's what action is for. Alright? So, I'm not going to be going through all the syntaxes and stuff because we just did that in the previous video and we'll be doing that in upcoming videos. I'm just explaining concepts. So when you create the HTML form, you have to put an action and you have to put a method. Basically, you just put that with the HTML form tag. Alright, now what is the method? I'm not going to get super into this right in this video, but I will be explaining it in depth in upcoming videos. The method is how we submit that data. And there's two main ways. We have what's known as get, and we have what's known as post. Alright, so as we go on in this series, we'll be using these two terms. And basically, this will treat the form differently. So for example, if you're working with something that has to be secure, you're going to want to use post. What get does is it actually adds the form values into the URL, which you can then bookmark if you wished. And I know you don't really understand completely how each one works because we just learned about them, but basically as we go you will see two methods. So it'll be like method equals post, for example. That means we are using the post method, and then we can retrieve that data on our PHP page. And when I first started learning PHP, this was the most confusing thing because I didn't understand why do you have to get and post. Don't worry about it too much. All you really need to think about is there's two types, get and post. Post is used for secure things. The only time get's really used is when we are retrieving information. Just think getting information from something, because that's you can do that. So as we go on, think that we have post and that we have get. And in our upcoming video, we'll be explaining what these do. So that's all I'm really going to get into that for this video. But be sure to check out my upcoming ones. What we can do then is, let me draw this out. We had our HTML page, and let's say we used the post method, and the action sent this to a PHP script. So we send these form data to a PHP script. That means anything we put in that form gets assigned to a superglobal array. So if we had a name and password, for example, in our form, these are taken from the form, stored in this array, which we can then access using our PHP script and work with those values. Alright, so basically that is how the in-depth beginner version concept kind of works. These values are stored in a global array, which we learned about arrays. It stores multiple values. So for example, this would be stored in one variable, and it stores this and this. Alright, then with our PHP script, we can access that data. And really this video is just to understand concepts. I'm not trying to teach you the actual programming, because I can do that better, when I'm focusing just on that. So now that you understand the concept, as we go into future videos, you're going to understand, oh, this is that, blah, 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 blah. Alright, so hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, be sure to subscribe, and also be sure to check the upcoming few videos where I'll be teaching this in depth so you finally understand how data is retrieved from HTML forms and used within our PHP script. Thank you, and be sure to subscribe.